our vendors for coming. You guys were wonderful. And I'll see you next month.
Good.
All right, everybody. Welcome back in to another edition of Road to the Blue Map. Coach Beckett, how are you doing today?
We're doing great because the best time of the season, football season.
You got that right.
We're in the middle of
How
it.
about you, sir? How are you doing today, Mr. Chandler Tyree?
I cannot complain. Busy, tired, but ready to roll on the show tonight.
Your graphic looks phenomenal, so I'm
always.
really pleased with that graphic you put out, as always. Guys, we want to thank Watkins Heating and Cooling, as always. They're our sponsor for the show, the premier sponsor for our show, Watkins Heating and Cooling, for all of your heating and cooling needs in or around Marshall, DeKalb, Jackson, any of those counties, even Etowah. Job's big enough, my man Brad Watkins is going to take care of you, so good. Anything you have to do with your heating and cooling systems, and this time of the year when it's cool in the mornings and it's hot in the evenings, you definitely need both working. So no better time than to reach out to Watkins Heating and Cooling. Also, we would like to thank Countertop Creations for our game-by-game breakdowns each and every week. Countertop Creations for all your countertop needs. If you guys need any kind of countertop work or thinking about getting some or just want to see what's going on with your current ones and what your options are, please reach out to Countertop Creations and we will have them tagged in this video. Guys, y'all ready to kick it off?
Let's do it to it.
We're going to kick it off in 3A. We're going to start in 3A, and then we're going to bounce all around. We're probably going to go 3, then bounce back up, then come back down. But let's go ahead and kick this thing off in 3A. Coach Beckett.
Yes, sir.
Let's start with you, brother. Big game right here. We're talking about the Sylvania Rams is traveling over to Fife Country. Fife is a 5-point favorite in this one. This is a very big game. The last couple of years, this has been a very premier game all throughout Alabama, definitely in our part of the state. When you look at these two teams, the last couple of years, they've been some exciting games, some great athletes going at it. What do you see in this game?
Wow, this is a goodie. It's really interesting. And I don't know if it's a good or bad thing to catch Fife off a loss. We don't have a lot of benchmark for that. There just hadn't been many to know a whole lot about. Their bounce. Well, they bounce back. They're just not there much. So, amazing job by Kusa, I think, was a big part of that. And Fife's going to be Fife on their end of things. Let's brag a little bit about Sylvania and what they were able to do. Aiden Parham, he just keeps bringing it week after week.
Doing it.
Yeah, another 200-yard game, 35 carries. Very durable guy. 3 touchdowns. A game that was. Man, it was in question the whole way. Put it away late, but it was definitely a grind them out. Griffin Turner, after the 1 for 13 first game, he keeps doing it. Great game manager, 4 of 8. This team seems to be getting the green and gold seems to keep getting better. But now, are they ready to go to Fife and play that juggernaut? Fife is last week, third, they're playing a stellar schedule. They're 9 regions. If they get somebody to play, it's really, really good people. We know they've got the best of the best. I'm talking about this one a lot because this is a goodie. This is one to see if you're in that area and you're looking for a really good game. I think it may be.
Yes. Oh, that's going to be a huge game, dude. That's going to be an absolute huge game.
I think you hit the nail on the head. How does Fife respond to? They hadn't been in this position very much. When's the last time that Fife, at this point in the season, has been 3-2? But we know they got great players. They got to get healthy still. They're banged up. Still got to get all their guys. I think by the end of the year, they've proven in some games this year where they've been completely healthy that they're still a really good football team. Have a great football coach. I look for them to respond. I think it's going to be a great ball game. I think Aiden Parham is a guy who can keep a ball game close for Sylvania against anybody that played, just with the run game. Sylvania's also been playing really good defense. It's at 5, but the old cliche saying is always what travels: run game and defense. And if you got run game and defense, that's going to be able to keep you in the ball game for a long time.
They were able to back Plainview up with several punts, too. Played field position really well. Some of those hidden stats become, the kick game becomes big, too.
All right, next game, both of you guys get in here and break this one down. This is an inter-county rivalry. One of you guys break down Calhoun, one of you guys break down Etowah. We're talking about Glencoe's 1-4s traveling over to an 0-5 Weaver, which I'd have never thought Weaver would be 0-5. The line on this one's very close. Kick us off with a little Weaver talk.
First off, I missed on Weaver to start the year. I thought that they were going to be a lot better than 0-5 right now.
I did too.
And I believe in what Ken Kofor does. I think he runs a really good program. They love the weight room over there. And it feels like off the field that the culture's changing. But when is something going to go right for them? They scored a lot of points against Ohatchee, but they couldn't stop Ohatchee. They played well against Sachs, but couldn't find a way to win. When does things start moving in the right direction? Both of these teams desperately need a win in order to keep their season or get their season moving in the right direction. Who's able to get a win here and able to catapult themselves into the second part of the season here? Weaver's played a really tough schedule so far, but it really don't get no easier for them. They really need something positive to happen for them. You know, Caden Gooden, very good story. Very scary moment with him having to be airlifted to the hospital and then coming back and playing the next week. Keyshawn Allen's a really good player. They've got really good players over there. They just got to put it together, figure out a way to get a few more stops in games. And this is a game where they could have an opportunity to come out with a win if they play well. But you know, Scott Martin and Glencoe is also going to show up to play. And Glencoe's been right there in some ball games this year against some really good opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think his strength of schedule, there's one where they played really good, and it's a really good region. They've kind of gone back this year to his style of play. I see them as improving. Sometimes the stats don't show that, just kind of because of who they're playing. They've been the underdog, a heavy underdog, just talent-wise, and this might be a chance to get things right, but I do see improvement every week.
So let's go to this next one right here. Is another one of these inter-county rivalries, or rivalry, so to speak. I'm thinking from head coach version, you know, because Steve Smith had such good rivalry against Ohatchee when he was at Piedmont. But this is another inter-county game right here where both you guys talking off. Beckett, lead us off talking about the Westbrook Christian Warriors, who will be hosting Ohatchee right here. This is an interesting game, the 6-point line.
Yeah, definitely right down the road. And we've seen how Ohatchee has moved the ball all year on whoever they play. So how will Westbrook's, I mean, it's going to be a kind of a war check defensively for Westbrook. That's my key. That's my matchup, is can they stop that juggernaut offense. Now, we know Brody Blevins is going to get his. You know, there he was last week. 22 carries, 173 yards, 4 touchdowns, ran for a 2-point conversion, 7 of 9 throwing, 160 yards. We know that dude's going to get his. Brody Wood, Maximus Jones, Brody Johnson. A lot of Brodies over there. But really good offense. So we know they're going to move the ball. Here's the key. Can Westbrook slow them down? Going to be an interesting one.
You know, that's a big game. It is the WEAC TV24 Game of the Week. We will be at Jack Osborne Stadium to see this game and to bring you everything live on all TV24 platforms. Ohatchee's offense has been prolific, but as good as their offense has been, their defense has been equally not as prolific. They've struggled defensively. I don't think I'm saying anything that is just mind-blowing to anybody watching the show right now. But offensively, they've got weapons for days. Jake Roberson, the quarterback, last week, 11 of 16, 233, 2 touchdowns. Braden Collins had 5 catches for 103 yards. Kobe Hester caught 4 more for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nate Jones added 183 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Jaden Hurd had 5 carries for 128 yards. He's another guy that can get it done receiving as well. They've got weapons everywhere, something that we hadn't been able to say a whole whole lot. Like they've had the guys come through, but it's been like a one-trick pony show for a while. They can spread the ball around now at Ohatchee. They got weapons for days, but they've got to figure out their defense. It's going to come down to what team can get the most stops. Ohatchee's averaging 47 points a game. Westbrook Christian's averaging 34 points a game. Ohatchee's 1-3 in the region. Piedmont, Westbrook Christian's 2-2 in the region. Both of these teams desperately need a win to continue to be strong in that playoff hunt going forward, especially Ohatchee, who's already dropped 3 games in region play. But if you look at Ohatchee and who they played, they've already played Piedmont, they've already played Locust Fork. That's the 2 favorites to win the region. Locust Fork beat Ohatchee in a shootout. And then they beat Westbrook Christian in a shootout in a game that was unbelievable. So which team shows up, which team can get the most stops, and then sometimes in this game there's going to be 4 or 5 plays that are the difference in the ball game, and it's also going to be which way does the ball bounce, and that's how these games are a lot of the time determined.
You know, the Ohatchee stat that jumps out at me, scoring 47 points a game, giving up 42 points a game. So
That's crazy.
Man, that's Arena League. A lot of points.
That's
A lot
crazy.
of points.
This next one, man, Beckett, I want you to dive into this one. Both of you guys can speak on it actually as well. 4-1 Collinsville, going to a Geraldine team that's 4-1, coming off a massive win versus Boaz, and it looked like an insurmountable quarterback to stop there in Tyler Pierce. But Geraldine's defense, you got to give them credit. They played well against them. They had the elements on their side. With it being raining, it's hard to get going throwing the football. But then you've got to give Geraldine credit. You can say rain or whatever, but at the end of the day, have to give some credit to Michael Davis and what he's been able to do over there this season. They only got the 1 loss in the year. But this is a huge game for them, but it is a massive game for Collinsville.
Man, impressive. First off, let's talk Michael Davis, man. He's an early nominee for a Coach of the Year somewhere because they lost an extraordinary amount of players and turn around, and here they are, top 10. I mean, they're sitting here at a power polls, got them 5th, and then they're ranked in the other poll. So that was a huge win to beat Boaz, and let's give them kudos last week and being ready and a team like. And I really had Boaz pegged as a team headed places. On the other side, Collinsville, man, they've had so many blowouts with the exception of 5 games. Their players have been off the field so much of the year, and they offensively they have a lot of juggernauts. You're sitting there at Quintavious Rogers, did it again last week, 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 82 yards. Really good quarterback in McAteer, Lang, Bean. They've got a lot of weapons. Now here's your key matchup. Geraldine last week, time of possession, man, they turned it and just turned it into a. They made keep
away.
Yeah, they made Boaz, like it, and if you don't have the football, you can't do a lot with it. And so there's your issue. Can they get them off the field? Can they get Geraldine's offense off the field to be able to? So that's one of those things I think, and there was a lot of times, Coach, I didn't think the opening toss was huge, but this may be one of them where, Geraldine sets the tone early and eats half of 4 quarter. The Sylvania game the other day, 7 minutes in the 4th quarter, and it's a really close game. Sylvania has the ball. I thought it was backbreaking. This could be one of those too.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the win by Geraldine this past Friday night was probably one of the most shocking wins of the year. I've been going around talking.
It was to me.
I really like Michael Davis. I think he does a great job. But I've been going around telling people they're going to be really, really good again in a couple of years. They're just super young right now.
Absolutely.
And they lost a lot from last year's team. For that shows you coaches don't get a whole lot of credit, and they shouldn't because they don't play. But that team is definitely getting coached up, and they're getting better and better.
I agree.
And by the end of the year, when it comes playoff time, if they can figure out a way to get in and that tough, they're going to be tough to deal with.
I agree. The culture, the foundation that he set. You're looking at 55 carries, 512 yards, 7 touchdowns against a team like Boaz. Man, and Jordan Langford, did he not step up last week? 21 carries, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Another key to this one at Geraldine was that crowd. That's a very tough place to go get a big
They are excited.
It's at Geraldine, but Collinsville is still a question mark for me. They're 4-1, but the 1 loss they have is to a really good 5 team. But my question with that is, Did they show up and play the name and just it was too big of a moment for them that early in the year, or are they better, or is that
Or is
who
there
they are?
separation?
Are they
Yeah.
better than what they showed in that game? Because in every
I
other
think
game
they
they
are.
looked dominant.
I
They
think
looked
they are.
really good, and so that's kind of. But
What was it? Something went bad early, and then it was the here we go again.
It's, well, like I said earlier, it's sometimes how the ball bounces. Here we go again.
Yeah.
It's easy for kids to get into that mindset, and it's hard to get out of it when you're in it, and it's hard for coaches to get them out of it. And the coaches think the same thing. I mean, I'd like to say I did. I don't, but when I was in games and one thing would bounce the wrong way, I would think in my head, well, here we go again. Nothing ever bounces our way. We can't figure it out. We can't catch a break. Was that one of those games? I think they're better than that, and I think they're going to keep getting better too. They got a really good coaching staff. I mean, you just look at his record, look at what he's been able to do. They're better than that, and I think they're going to continue to get better too. This is going to be a really good ball game. I can't wait to see what the scoring
And that was a big win for Collinsville. Just from there, it doesn't mean as much on the outside, but Sandrock had won some games. Sandrock really has the lead in that, and that is a ugly, really bitter relationship. And they
Right now
won
it is.
51. They
Yeah.
won 51-0.
Yeah.
They showed up last week. Did they bounce back?
This next one, let's talk about Sachs. 2-4 is traveling to a very good JB Pennington team who's 4-2 on the year. What do you think about that one, Beckett, yourself?
Well, I stopped watching a little bit of Sachs today. Athletic, young in spots. They do have some players, though. They do have some playmakers. Seem to be getting better. The kids really had a lot of life in them when we're practicing hard, man. So I think when you're that talented and you're still playing hard, that's your key with kids because they're, to get them out of that record. I think they can still make a game of it.
Yeah. JB Pennington's a tough one, but what do you see from
Sachs ran for over 400 yards last week. McClellan ran for 171. LaJuan Curry ran for 165. Hurd added 60. Ja'Cory Avery added 51. Shannon Noel is a guy who has showed up every week for Sachs. Defensively, he added 10 tackles again this week. I think he's had double-digit tackles in almost every game. Sachs continues to get better, and I don't hide that I am a believer in what Coach Freeney is doing over there. I think he's working his tail off. I think the kids are starting to believe, and it's dangerous when kids start believing and they start thinking that they're probably better than what they actually are.
He's already have improvement from last year's team.
They're 2-4. Last year they went 1-9. I think there's more games that they can play in. You look at how they competed in the Piedmont game. You look at how they found a way to win in the Weaver game. You look at what they did last week against definitely an opponent that they should beat, but they handled their business. They took care of what they're supposed to take care of. They ran the football. They're starting to play better defense. They're a team that has competed in a bunch of ball games, and I think they'll compete against a really good JB Pennington team. The question is JB Pennington just got too much for them, and it's at JB Pennington.
All right, the next one, man, this is without question to me the game of the week in our area of the state. We're going to go ahead and break it down right now. We're talking about an undefeated Locust Fort who's 5-0 in the year, traveling to the Field of Champions, which I was at today, who's also 5-0 in the year. There's so many variables going into this football game, which you can look at. You got first and foremost, on both sides, you're going to circle Dino Embry, which is rightfully so. He was leading the nation in rushing. Over 20.
I've got a honorary helmet sticker nominee. Bye week. That's been the only person that's been able to stop Dino Embry all year.
Bye week. That's awesome. But yeah, what I was saying is he's going to be circled on both sides. Everybody is, can we stop Dino Embry? The other question, in my opinion, is can Locust Fort get stops versus a very, very good Piedmont defense? When you look at this coaching matchup with Jonathan Miller and Billy Adams, those two guys are great football coaches. They both get juices out of their players. If you look at the matchup, I think Piedmont's definitely a little more deeper, more of a two-platoon system, where a lot of Locust guys has got to go on both sides of the ball. Having a week to prepare for this one, what do you see from Locust Fort?
Well, hey, and we know they're going to move the ball. We do. There again, two great offenses. Somebody's got to get a stop and get off the field a little bit, too. Piedmont did some really good things. They held Comer, who's been really good the last couple of years, 239 yards last week, caused 3 turnovers, and really did some good things. Obviously, obviously, it's going to be the best team that I think Locust Fork's played all year. How would they? And there again, you talk about location. Field of Champions, I think that comes into play. You know, where this thing is really huge. Man, there's so many variables and things going into this game. This is one I wish I was at. Wish I had a chance to see. But can Piedmont get Locust Fork off the field and vice versa?
So Piedmont, you talk about teams having tons of weapons. They got their quarterback back, and he was 8 of 16 for 313 yards last week, 5 touchdowns. Raleigh Pinto continues to have a strong year, caught 4 passes for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. Ishmael Bethel had 3 catches for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hayes Gunn gives them balance with the run attack. He had 81 yards on 12 carries and a touchdown. Cole Alston also rushed for 77 yards and 2 scores after getting a move back to where he's more comfortable at after filling in for Wilson the past couple of weeks at quarterback while he was out. And they outgained B.B. Comer 533 to 239 last week. So it's going to be, we know Locust Fork is going to be able to score. But can Locust Fork get enough stops to stay in this ball game against a very, very good Piedmont offense? And the thing about Piedmont, last year they couldn't get a whole lot of stops. They're a lot more athletic on the defensive side of the ball this year.
Younger and faster.
They're younger, faster. You can see it in their scores. Here is the thing. I joked about the bye week earlier, but that bye week is huge for a Locust Fork team, and you've already said it. They've got a bunch of guys that have to play a bunch of snaps both sides of the football. They were beat up. They had been in some dog fights. They needed that off week. I want to see how fresh Locust Fork can look, and also how fresh they can look because of the bye week, and also because the weather is starting to change. It's starting to feel like football season outside. Will that benefit them come Friday night?
You know, if I'm Piedmont, I'm trying to cut down on those prolific plays because Dino gets so many just huge chunks of 60 and 70 yards. You've got to reduce that and at least bleed them into long drives.
Yeah, no doubt. Make them snap it one more time, so to speak. We're going to jump up to 6A right now. We're going to kick things off. Beckett, I'm going to kick things off with you right here. Gadsden City, 4-1. Is traveling to an 0-6 Lee of Huntsville. Gadsden City sitting there at a 41-point favorite in this. Now, is Gadsden City that good this year, or is Lee of Huntsville not playing that good this year?
Yeah, I think it's a combination thereof. Just to be honest with you, I think, right now 6A football in Huntsville is probably not the strongest it's ever been. Maybe they're on the upswing, and maybe, I got some friends that say Huntsville High. They feel really good about themselves, and Bob Jones and some others. But right now, Lee of Huntsville's, let's be honest, they're struggling. You look at their numbers, they're struggling all the way. Gadsden City's getting a lot of confidence. Kyle Franklin does it again. He's a helmet sticker nominee, 16 of 25, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. He has stepped into that row and earned that position, and it was a little bit of a quarterback battle coming in. TJ Worthy, he gets his every week. I mean, you just count on that. You can just take it to the bank. Karel Yao, 7 catches, 99 yards. He stepped in as the top receiver this week. Gadsden City has there again got to focus, got to keep getting better. But it would be big for them to take one more step. This would be 3 straight region championships. They're edging that way. I know we're getting a cart in front of the horse, but some good things are happening in Gadsden City.
I really like Gadsden City's football team, and Lee of Huntsville is struggling. I think Gadsden City stays hot. I think they take out teams from Huntsville in back-to-back weeks.
Pell City at Oxford. This is coming into this year. You thought this one could get a little dicey here. Things hadn't panned out the way that Pell City folks would like. Oxford has looked very, very good at times, but a lot of times it seems like Mason Mims has just played like a Superman, and sometimes he's had to play like Superman for them to win. But when they put that thing completely together, and you talk to Coach each and every week, they're going to be a really tough out in 6A in the playoffs. Talk to us about this game right here.
Yeah, Oxford is still getting better. They're still trying to get everybody healthy. When they're hitting on all cylinders, they're a very, very good football
Absolutely.
team. Helena got to see that firsthand last week. But here's the thing: people forget that last year Pell City rolled into Oxford and hadn't won but one game, and should have beat the Oxford Yellow Jackets last year. They were one fourth down stop away from winning the football game. Now, I think it's a different year. I think Oxford's better. I think Pell City is still trying to get there. But Pell City comes in 2-3. Two of their losses were against really good football teams. Actually, all three of their losses, because they played. Their three losses are Coosa Christian. We saw what they did last week. Clay Chalkville and Mountain Brook. And so when you look at that,
That's pretty tough.
I think on paper it's stacked up against Pell City, but that's why you play the game. Anything can happen. Coach Gentry does a very good job there. Coach Adams does a great job at Oxford. And just personally, as an Oxford grad, I'm really excited to see Coach Adams having the success and the team having the success that they've had this year. He kind of lost some players to graduation and the new style of high school football his first year. And people at Oxford don't want to hear that, and they don't want to make excuses, and he's not one to make excuses. He's not going to do that. He's never said that. But I will do it for him. But they were young, super young. They've been young ever since he's been there, and now they're finally a veteran team, and got a great guy at the quarterback position who's making plays for them. And I think Oxford's got a chance. They just got to keep getting better. The good thing about Oxford is some teams peak way too early. Some teams don't peak at all. And I think Oxford is getting better and better each week, and I think they'll be ready to peak by the time playoffs get here. And here's what Oxford can't do. They can't overlook matchups, which next week they have a bye week. They can't overlook these next opponents before they get to Clay Chalkville, because I know everybody has that circled on their schedule.
Oh, no doubt. All right, we got 4 minutes to break down 3 games. Can we do it?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it. Beckett, St. Clair County, Thursday night at Leeds. This is a big one coming up.
Man, was that not a huge win? Let's talk St. Clair. Man, was that not a huge win last
Beat a
week?
5-0 Shelby County.
Beat a 5-0 Shelby County, and that just shows you kind of stand with it and just keep churning every week. I'm really happy for that staff, because they played a lot of really tough people and hung on. They've outscored opponents 161 to 113, so they've been in so many of the games, and here they go play Leeds. Doesn't get any easier right down the road. 5-1 Leeds, 3-0 overall. Leeds the series 21-6 and won 34-0 here of late. But I look forward to being a game this time where it's Leeds handed it to them the last couple of years. I look for them to close the gap, and I'm really excited for St. Clair.
This one's for you. 2 minutes or so here. We got Mumford 1-4 at Talladega 1-5.
And we don't talk a whole lot about Talladega County, but I put this one on there this week because I need to shout out Talladega. I think first win in 2.5 years. And Coach Dorsey's doing a really good job down there.
His first win.
This is
started with their 7-on-7.
Nobody thought that this right here would be very close coming into the year, but Mumford's been struggling. Talladega coming off a win over an Asheville team that looked like they were getting better. A big-time win for Talladega on homecoming. Mumford they've got to get their star running back Tank Edmondson going, and they got to get some help around him. They got to get a few stops. They've played really tough schedule so far, so I know they're looking forward to this game, see if they can get back on the right track. But I'm intrigued by that matchup in Talladega County this week.
Beckett, we've talked about the Huntsville area, and we talked about football in the Huntsville area. The number 1 team in the state in 5A, Guntersville, is going to be hosting one of those 7A teams from the Huntsville area, Grissom, who's coming in at 2-3 on the year. Guntersville, a big 16-point favorite in this one. How do you see this one playing out?
Again, you got your two-headed monster Delva's averaging 99.4 a game. Jelon Jordan 62.7. Then you got a throw game that's pretty good with Eli Morrison, and that's able to pitch it around. Man, they got a lot of weapons. I think they're really good defensively. Starts with Avery Clifton, E.J. Havis. You can count on 8-9 tackles a game for them, and they've been really stingy. So they've got multiple parts to their game. And there again, Can they keep on keeping on, staying focused? There's your key. Winning brings its own set of problems.
That's true.
Everybody in America is telling you how good you are. Hey, let's keep this thing keep rolling.
So here's the thing. Gunnersville plays a really good Scottsboro team next week, and for both of them, we ain't got to Scottsboro yet. Can they not have a trip-up game overlooking this week's opponent to next week? Because Scottsboro proved that they're a really good football team hanging in with Central Clay County, who's just steamrolled everybody this year. And Gunnersville, number 1 ranked team in 5A. Next week, they've got an absolute matchup coming up. Can they take care of business this week to set up?
You don't
that
want to
big-
look ahead.
You don't
so
want to look
speak,
ahead.
For sure,
Okay.
even though that is going to be a monstrous game. Well, that's going to do us for right now. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.
May not believe it, but it's true. The 2024 Team 1 Chevys are here. All 23-24 Silverado light duties have 2.9% financing for 72 months. The hottest new 24 Team 1 Chevy Blazer, 1.9% financing and no payments till April. And the number 1 selling family vehicle, the Equinox, 24 models. You got it. 1.9% financing and no payments till April. Team 1 Chevrolet, home of the best people, the best service, period.
The Point at JSU is an off-campus student housing property located a half a mile away from Jacksonville State University. The Point offers fully furnished, pet-friendly, 2 bedrooms and 4 bedroom units. Resident experience is our number 1 priority, therefore we do offer the following amenities: a resort-style pool, fitness center, basketball and volleyball court, and dog park. We would love for you to come see our property, so give us a call at 256-376-8317 to schedule a tour today.
What can you buy for $10? A hat? A milkshake? 166 channels plus live sports? That's right, for only $10 you can get 166 channels of classic TV shows and movies, including the latest news update from all around the world and local sports. Just simply go to 24ctn.com and click download, and then for only $10 you can have access to the best TV available. At Southern States Bank, we pride ourselves on being your bank. We're your neighbors and involved in the community. We're the bank featuring the Southern Rewards checking account, a cashback account with no ATM fees. We are on the cutting edge and always have a smiling face to help you out. So come to Southern States Bank, where we are committed to great service and being a great neighbor. Let us be the bank for you and your business.
I have an iPad. I'm looking at my stuff.
Hey, are we back? It looks like we're back, guys.
I can't hear him.
All right, let's get rolling. I see us pop up on the screen, so I think it's time to go. Here we go. All right. Let's get this thing rolling right here. I'll tell you what, let's kick this thing off with 2A. Let's go 2A right here. Beckett, are you ready with your 2A coverage?
Let's go 2A.
What about you? You ready with your 2A coverage, Chandler?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Let's put this on right here. Let's start right here with another one of these that both of you guys can break down. This is going to be Cedar Bluff, who's 2-4, who's traveling over to the Valley, and Pleasant Valley, who's got the opposite record. They're 4-2. Pleasant Valley, a 12-point favorite in this one. Chandler, kick us off with this one.
You say we were doing
Pleasant Valley
Sorry.
and Cedar Bluff.
I'm trying to. All right, so Pleasant Valley coming off a defensive slugfest last week, 8-6 over Woodland. The only score of the ball game for Pleasant Valley was Cooper Dougal's 68-yard touchdown pass to Hunter Sparks, and then Jaden Sparks followed that up with a 2-point conversion run. But here's the thing: Pleasant Valley 4-0. 4-2, 4-0 on the road this year. They are right where they need to be at in order to make things happen. Cedar Bluff is 2-4. This is a big win. Like every week I talk about, Pleasant Valley can't have any letdowns. Had a big win a couple of weeks ago against Sandrock. They got to continue moving in the right direction. They've already played Pisgah, which we know is a different animal, and so they have a chance to do it. The good thing about it is they're playing really good defense. They got to get that offensive rolling again. I think Braxton Salster not being able to play quarterback is hurting their offense a little bit, But in a big thing, he is playing a lot of defense with 12 tackles and an interception last week on the defensive side of football. So Pleasant Valley continues to improve. Cedar Bluff is 2-4, but this is a tough matchup for Cedar Bluff against Pleasant Valley.
Beckett. Cleveland, 2-3, traveling to the Coosa Christian Conquerors, is having homecoming this week, so got a lot of distractions right there. It's a big line on this one, but talk to me about this Cleveland versus, and Mark O'Brien, a one-time head coach at Cleveland.
Yeah, really, hadn't even really thought of that, and I see where Coosa is in a power poll, has moved up to number 2. Cleveland, there again, kind of been in a total rebuilding mode after they were runner-up a couple years ago. Defensively, people talk offense, and offense is explosive for Coosa, but defense just keeps delivering with great numbers week after week. And the thing is, if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to protect the football, because the takeaway is ridiculous of how many turnovers Coosa's causing. And then you want to turn out first downs. You got to score some points, and they just hadn't been many. So huge advantage going in for Coosa. Cleveland's got to figure a way to get some prolific plays.
Coosa gave up 38 total yards last week. They gave up no passing yards and 38 rushing yards on 36 rushes. They only allowed 6 first downs. They caused 8 turnovers. That defense is absolutely swarming right now.
They're playing as good as they have under Teddy Whitmire that I've ever seen at this current moment. Beckett, kicking it right here, Beckett, with you. West End Walnut Grove desperately needing a win right here. Playing Cold Springs, who's also desperately needing a win right here. Cold Springs is a big 17-point favorite in this one. How do you see this one?
Yeah, West End's got this and where they thought they'd be and where we thought they'd be. We didn't know they would be young, and they've got to generate some offense, move the football. They did a little bit early in the year. Gonna have to, it's a game I think they would have a chance to be in there. Always, if they have time of possession, with a chance. Our smoke friend Laurie King, we was happy to see that West End joined our family, and is leaning on us. So get to go out there a bunch. But I'm hoping this second half of the year that some good things happen at West End.
Yeah, this is that's an interesting game, and it's a winnable game for West End. They can win that football game, but they're going to have to play lights out. I'm going to get you to break this one down right here, the one on page 2, the Susan Moore at Southeastern game.
All right, Susan Moore 2-4, Southeastern 2-3. Susan Moore coming off a tough rivalry loss to Aniana last week. Southeastern trying to look for something positive to happen as well. Both of these teams are wanting to get closer to 500 on the year. Both of these teams desperately need a win for playoffs. The Susan Moore game against Aniana, that kind of surprised me because Susan Moore had been playing okay, and Aniana had been really struggling. Susan Moore's got to get healthy. They've got to get back to doing what they were doing at the beginning of the year. And I think as the year goes along and their schedule kind of settles out a little bit, I think Susan Moore will play a lot better than what they have the last few weeks.
Beckett, talk to me about Gaston and Section. You know Gaston. You was the head coach there. You know Riley Edwards. You know Section really well as well. Gaston 1-4 on the season. Section 1-5. I believe this one's a 2-point line, so it's very close. The experts say.
Yeah, and this is there again disappointing. 41-point loss a game coming in the year. They really thought like they had a chance to win. Had several injuries that definitely factor in. Need to hope that some of those guys come back. This is a winnable game. Gaston. Yeah, and without this win, any chance to sneak in the playoffs is pretty well gone. So it is a huge win for Gaston. They've been outscored 134-82. That's just giving up 40-plus points the last 2 weeks. It's a game that they definitely need to win. And on the other side, Section is this is exciting. Coach Edwards, this is one that they definitely feel like they have a chance to win. So they need to run the ball really well, and this could be a big first region win.
Kicking it back to you, we're looking at Pisgah right here is undefeated, and all intents and purposes have straight up dominated pretty much majority of their competition all year. They're a huge favorite in this one, 38 points versus Sandrock Coach Heath, who has the greatest mustache arguably in the 21st century. How do you see this one playing out?
Don't ask a question like that.
About his mustache?
No, don't ask about how I see this one.
I'm not trying to get you to pick like Coach
You don't
Beckett.
want me to tell you how I want it to, how it's going. Look, Sandrock is much improved. They're 3-3 on the year. That is vast improvement from last year. But we're talking about a Pisgah team that's one of the best teams in Class 2A. We're talking about a team that could have a chance to win a blue map at the end of the year. Like, obviously, you got Highland Home, some other teams that are really, really good as well. But Pisgah's a really, really good football team. Sandrock is a really good football team as well. And I say it every week. They got to play good defense. They got to cause turnovers, and they got to get the ball in the hands of their big running back, Kane Robeson, and he's got to have a big game. He's got to get first downs. Their best defense is for their offense to keep Pisgah's offense off the field. Ball control, take care of the football, get turnovers, win the turnover battle. That's the way that the underdog teams have to do to make games like this close. And Pisgah, on the other hand, have to take care of the football. Don't turn the football over, and then score when you get your opportunities to score and continue to play great defense like they've played all year.
Yeah, Sandrock was really disappointed in last week's performance, but they have a chance. They have 3 region games left. If they can find a way to win 2 out of the next 3 between the Pisgah, Cedar Bluff, and Gaston, which could happen. Playoffs on the line, so these are huge.
Well, that's manageable.
That's manageable.
There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Let's jump up to 4A right here. Then we're going to come back down to 1 and then close at 5. You guys get your notes ready, and we're ready to roll. You ready for this one? All right, let's go. White Plains, 2-3 on the year. They're traveling to Asheville. So this is going to be a game, Asheville, one of those teams that's kind of been up and down. They actually are favored in this one. They're a 4-point favorite versus White Plains, and they're hosting. So this is an interesting football game from all intents and purposes.
White Plains got a huge win last week. They desperately needed it. White Plains has a lot of injuries. That's not, one of their better players has a broken arm, and he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. But I said it last week that Rodney Perry was going to have a big game for them last week to have a chance to win. Rodney rushed for 170 yards, 4 touchdowns on 30 carries, and helped his team get an overtime win. That's going to make him a helmet sticker nominee. And he did a really good job in place of injured running back P.J. Holloway. He also added 3 catches for 20 yards, and Crew Martin, the young quarterback, completed 8 passes for 83 yards and didn't turn the ball over. And White Plains was able to beat Horseshoe Bend 28-27. That was huge for them. Asheville, on the other hand, went to Talladega. Was Talladega's homecoming, had a chance to spoil homecoming, had things moving in the right direction, had a big win over Aniana earlier in the year. Everybody's talking about how much they're getting better. Their quarterback had won a helmet sticker award for us earlier in the year. Jack Potter, I think's his name. I know his last name's Potter, so forgive me if I missed the first name. The Potter kid is somebody that everybody's talking about as being a really good player. And then they go to Talladega, and Talladega continues to get better and better, and they lose that ball game. So how does Asheville respond? How does White Plains handle having some success? And this is a game that both of these teams desperately need. White Plains has a chance to win their next few ball games, which would be huge for that program. But Asheville also needs to win some of these ball games too. These are the types of ball games for these programs that can be game changers going forward when you're trying to turn programs around.
No doubt about it. This next one is going to be Aniana, who's 1-4 on the year. They're taking on Etowah, who lost a heartbreaker last week. They're also 1-4 on the year. They're an 11-point favorite. The Etowah Blue Devils is. Beckett, talk to us about this one.
Yeah, looking at Etowah on the season. It looks like they're getting better. Scoring's going up. Scored 48 and 34 the last 2 games, so definitely scoring more points. Etowah has obviously struggled. Heck, you went out, you play really well, you continue to get better, you get in that playoff hunt, and we all know Etowah's used to going to the playoffs.
Yeah, each and every year, just about. The Etowah Blue Devils have lived in the playoffs. From an Aniana standpoint, what do you see to this one?
We talk about it every week. Like, Aniana is not a program who's just going to crawl up in the corner and get their teeth kicked in. Like they came out swinging last week, got a huge victory, got on the board finally in 2024. They're a program that's going to fight, and they're going to do things the right way. Coach Phillips is a great coach. Aniana has rich tradition, and they got players still that want to win, that's playing hard. But Etowah's getting better and better. Like Scott Peavy's doing a really good job. You're starting to see that effect go into action. You're starting to see some of the players play really well. They're competing. Lost a heartbreaker last week at Southside in double overtime, but they're competing, getting better. This is a game that both of these teams desperately need to win. And I'm excited to see. It's at Etowah, so I think that benefits Etowah. Etowah is still a very tough place to go and play, a very cool atmosphere, and I'm intrigued by that ball game.
Yes, and Etowah broke through this year and got the win at home. It's the first win they had at home, and they didn't have one last year, and they got one this year, so they're looking to win another one at home.
Hey, can I
this year.
share this comment real quick?
Go ahead. What is it?
We were talking about we were talking earlier about Pisgah and Sandrock, and talking about Coach Allen Heath. Laura Pruitt commented, which is Coach Pruitt's wife. I tell Luke all the time that me and Coach Heath could be best friends. He's hilarious. I love every time he's been on with y'all. I'm trying to talk him into letting me go early with the team so I can go hang out with him, but he keeps telling me no.
Oh yeah, no, they would get along. Knowing her personality, they would get along. We need to bring her on. She needs to come on the show with us one day.
Yeah, we need to
can
hear
do
a
that.
perspective from a coach's wife.
Yes, when we bring back Friday Night Wives, she needs to be one of our
No
first
doubt about
guests
it.
on that show, which we need to bring that back. She would kill it on that show.
No doubt.
Beckett, this next one we're going to talk about DAR and Randolph. This is a 4-2 team versus a 2-4 team. You know, DAR with a new coaches change this year. To have those two wins early, though, that's been pretty impressive. Randolph's a heavy favorite in this one, but
Yeah, but big 21-12 win.
Yep.
2 wins for DAR. I mean, that's
big.
really good. Those kids are feeling really, really nice. Randolph leads the series 6-4. Won 75-13 last year. If you're DAR,
75-13.
Yeah, you don't want anything like that to break out again. Randolph's actually, they've turned into a really nice program. They're getting a little stronger every year, feeding off some of the talent in Huntsville. So, but congratulations to DAR.
yeah, being 2-4 right now, that's an improvement.
That's an improvement.
So, now both of you guys are going to take turns breaking these down because these are two inter-county rivalries, two different counties that you guys cover. Beckett, I'm going to start with you right here. Interesting, really, really interesting football game right here. The undefeated Hoax Bluff Eagles. I was in-house with Mike Robertson. They did his show. We sat down and talked about everything under the sun but football, and then we did his show after that. Traveling to Alexandria, who's 3-2 on the year, but let me just tell you this. I was at this Alexandria Clay County game last year. Danny Horn was standing at midfield with his back to Alexandria, and he had this real stern look on his face, and I walked up to him, and Alexandria had no wins on the year when they played them last year. And I said, Coach, I said, you ready to roll? And he's like, yeah, I'm ready. And I said, what do you think? And he said, buddy, this is Alexandria at Death Valley. You better take it serious. I don't care what the record says. Mm-hmm. Mike Robertson echoed that today in his office. Talk to us about this game because it's a 7-point line.
Yes, Hoax Bluff, man, great things are definitely happening. It's been a great year. Coach Rob, man, he is the epitome of consistency and a great foundation. Defensively, obviously, I think that's where it starts. Connor Ford, 17 tackles. Drew McCarver, 11 tackles last week. Anderson Morgan and Bray Davis, 9 tackles each. Really good numbers. And then, of course, offensively, man, they're gonna make you like it. Last week versus their rival Glencoe, big 35-0 win, took care of business. And you just got to be from there to understand how hated a rivalry that is. But 15 first downs, 2 of 5 on third, 379 yards total. They had 46 passing, 3 of 4, just threw 4 balls. Didn't have to throw it anymore, and took care of business. Bryce Whitaker had his 12 carries, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns, 14.4 carry, took care of business. And Bronner McMurray, 17 carries for 86 yards. There's more than one way they'll hurt you, which makes them who they are. And this group is man, they're fun to watch.
Yeah, like
no
you
doubt.
didn't even have to talk about one of their main weapons, Anderson Morgan, because like you said, they didn't even have to throw the ball around. That rivalry, they hate each other so much. Somebody called into our Friday night show last week and added 3 points to the score where they could beat Glencoe by even more. Somebody called in. We had it listed at 38-0 because somebody kept commenting that it was 38-0, and I get home and it's 35-0.
Hey, from the Alexandria standpoint, talk to us about that game.
Alexandria, 3-2, a lot better. They're still super, super young.
Yeah, they were super young last year.
Yeah, they're still super young, and the future is super bright for them. They come off a big win over Sardis. J.J. Beeson rushed for 126 yards and a touchdown. M.J. Morris added 92 yards and 2 touchdowns. Elijah Hunter rushed for 80 and a touchdown. And then quarterback play, 6 of 10 for 160 yards. So run, play action, hit you over the top, big play pass game. That's how play action's supposed to work. And Alexandria is getting better and better. They beat a Sardis team under B.J. Brooks that we know lost a lot of guys that are trying to get back to where they are and had a lot of injuries so far already. But Alexandria, that's a big win for Alexandria. And I think Alexandria is moving in the right direction. This is going to be a good ball game. It's going to be two teams that like to do the same thing. They like to run the ball. They like to play good defense. They play a physical brand of football. And it's one of those games that on paper, Host Bluff is probably better, but it's at Alexandria and the ball bounces the right way and that crowd gets into it and it becomes Death Valley. It could be dangerous.
I agree with you 100%. That's why that line's only a touchdown as well. Beckett, next game, Anniston Bulldogs traveling over to Cherokee County. And we've seen what kind of product Cherokee County's put on the field as of the last few years. They've been nothing stellar of dominant. And if you would have looked before the season started and seen that game right there, the host state would have that one circled thinking, hey, that's region championship. Well, some things that's transpired that's not the path it's looking like right now, that it's going to be the region championship. Now, I'm not saying that it couldn't be, but there's some teams going to have to lose to this point to make that happen on the Anniston end of things. But talk to us about the Cherokee County team heading into this game.
Yeah, the Warriors have recovered nicely from the loss to Piedmont.
I think it woke them up.
Yeah, woke them up, man. They're getting better and better. And nice 20-6 win. Go up in class against Shades Valley, and just a quality win. 14 first downs, 259 yards rushing. Just ground and pound. Just said, hey, we're gonna make you like it. Didn't throw. Didn't have to. Didn't throw. Key word there, didn't throw. Tay Diamond had 22 carries, 120 yards. Tristan Brown, 14 carries, 93 yards. Keyshawn Wood, 746. Just said, hey, here we come. We're going to make you like it. And they've turned into a really physical team that people hate to see.
Yeah, when you play them, you better buckle your chin strap and be ready for war. And I remember these two teams hooking up. I believe it was the first game on the new turf at Cherokee County. Cherokee County won a real close game.
Yeah, when you look at Anniston, they're 2-3, but their losses have came to a team that was a 5A powerhouse that moved down to 4A this year, Pleasant Grove. They got beat by the surprise team in our area by far, the Hoax Bluff Eagles, who were undefeated, and they got beat by a really, really good Beauregard team, 8-6 earlier in the year. Beauregard is 4-2. Their only losses is a loss by a point to a really good Andalusia team, and then they lost to 6A Wetumpka by 5 points. So Anniston has played a really tough schedule. They are a lot better. That Hoax Bluff game got out of hand early. That score,
and it was homecoming too. Distractions.
Yeah, distractions. I don't think that score really depicts how good of a team Anniston is. I'm not trying to take anything away from Hoax Bluff. I think they're a great football team. They played better that night. I think Hoax Bluff is still probably a better team all around than Anniston. But that game got out of hand. Things bounced the wrong way. Distractions, all that stuff. I think that Anniston's a better team than what their record shows. But I think that Cherokee County is a very good football team. Anniston's going to have to play a near-perfect football game. They're going to have to make some big plays. They're going to have to call some turnovers. They're going to have to be willing to stop the run game. Cherokee County won at Shades Valley last week without completing a single pass. Mm-hmm. maybe without even throwing a pass.
I don't think they threw a pass.
They lined up in their power formation, and they ran it at 6A Shades Valley all night. Anniston, I mean, it's going to be a big boy pants kind of game. They're going to have to put their big boy pants on up front, and they're going to have to get dirty and try to stop that prolific run game for Cherokee County, and that's going to be tough. And you look, if it's going to be for a region championship, if Anniston's going to want a chance to win a region championship, they got to win this football game on Friday night.
They got to win, and then it's
Some
got to
other
get.
things
Then
gotta
Hoax
happen.
Bluff has
Yep.
got to lose
Yep.
at some point. All right, we're going to go to 1A now. You guys flip your notes on over and let's dive into this 1A. And there's some games coming up that's really interesting. This one, Addison at Waterloo. Coach Beckett, you want to talk to us about Addison at Waterloo?
I tell you what, you guys are going, and I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of the state. But you guys are going to have to educate me a little bit about Addison and Waterloo. Waterloo is in the extreme northwest. Is that correct?
I don't know. The Battle of Waterloo happened in 1815.
There you go. We learned something
Hey,
there.
I'll tell you this: Waterloo is 1-4 on the year. Addison's 3-3. The game is at Waterloo. We've established we have no idea where that's at, so y'all can send that in if you know. I think Addison is a team that should go take care of business. I think I can say that because we don't know where Waterloo's at, so it's definitely not in our coverage here. Waterloo, if you ever want anybody to help you out, though, we're there.
They're going to hit us up.
They're going to hit us up, yeah. But I look for Addison to take care of business in this 1A matchup.
All right, this next one, let's go. Donahoe is at Fayetteville. Donahoe 1-5 on the year. Fayetteville 2-3, and Fayetteville is a 11-point favorite in this one.
You know, I honestly believe, though, that this is a game that Donahoe can compete in. Donahoe is another team that's played schedule. They do have a big win over Raglan earlier in the year, which Raglan's 2-3 now. But I think Fayetteville, Coach Limbaugh does a great job at Fayetteville. They're going to compete and play hard every single year. Coach Bill Smith at Donahoe does a great job. Kai Kleckler's got to have a good game at quarterback. Hayes Farrell has got to be a guy on both sides of the ball for them. Beef Johnson's got to be a guy that can try to own the line of scrimmage. Donahoe's got to get more stops. And, you know, I say that, but the past 3 weeks they've had to play a really good Winterboro team. They had to play Ohatchee, and then they played Spring Garden the week before that, I believe. So tough schedule so far for Donahoe. I don't know who made that schedule, but it's just brutal.
Yeah, I don't think Coach Smith made that. I look at Kai Kleckler. You mentioned the two guys, him and Hayes Farrell. Man, they bring it every week. 8 for 20, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns for Kleckler. Hayes Farrell, 4 catches, 92 yards, a touchdown. Those guys are getting good numbers. Jordan Cameron, 1 catch, 61 yards. So they're doing some good things. And Luke Farrell, every week he does something really good defensively, 10 tackles, 1 sack.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
They've got some guys that are really good.
They've got some pieces.
They've got some pieces.
Yes.
The issue with them is they're also having to play a bunch of young guys as well, and lost some guys before the season started that could have really helped them be a lot more successful this year.
Beckett, Galesville, Coach Knapp and company, going on a little trip up to Ider, Alabama, into TD country up there. Mr. Dalton's country, the Ider Insider. Talk to us about this one. They're 11-point favorite heading up to Ider.
All right, big region game. They've got to. This is a must-win to get into playoffs in a really good region. Obviously, when you're in there with Spring Garden and Appalachian and those guys in Valley Head. All right, must-win game. Ider has struggled a little bit this year. Galesville last week. Alex Beatty, he was a helmet sticker guy. This is another nominee again. 22 carries, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns, 74-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. We know that guy's going to bring it. We know they're going to ground and pound, and they've got to dictate the game and take care of business. Huge game for Galesville this week. They went to Verbena, non-region game, to fill the TC hole. Played Verbena, a ranked Verbena team. PowerPo has them in the top 10, and played them undefeated Verbena. Played them really close, lost 36-24.
Let's keep it right here with you, Beckett. Valley Head at Raglan. Valley Head, only 1 loss on the season was to a tough Spring Garden team.
Yeah,
heavy favorites in this one, traveling over here to Raglan.
Yeah, and they turned it around after a disappointing loss to Spring Garden, who handed it to them, turned around and got a big win last week over North Sand Mountain. Now they're back to with Tyler Blevins, Nate Bain, Ben Johnson, Kaysen McElrath, 264 yards on 46 carries. And 2 touchdowns. Now there's Valley Head ball. Big win against North Sand Mountain last week. Turned around, they played Ragland. Talked to Coach early in the week. Said he didn't know a lot about Ragland. Great unknown. We talked about Ragland's struggles early in the year, getting better. Do have some talent. A big win for Valley Head, trying to get that 2 spot. Want to be at home during the playoffs.
Break this one down, then we're going to go to break, and as we come out of break, we're going to break down that huge region matchup with Spring Garden and App. But before we get to that one and break, let's break down this Winterboro at Victory Christian. 2 really good football teams, a 4-1 traveling to a 3-1 Victory Christian. Winterboro's just shy of a 2-touchdown favorite according to the experts.
Yeah, so Victory Christian has played, their only loss comes to Wadley, and Winterboro's only loss is to Vincent. This is a game that nobody really thought was going to be a game that we'd have circled at the beginning of the year. But 2 teams that are Winterboro 4-1, Victory Christian 3-1. Coach Skylar Mansfield does a great job at Winterboro. 4-1 is what we're used to seeing there. It's a tough thing. He got some guys that really helped out his football team from TCC with them shutting down the school, and so this one it's earlier in the year I would have said Winterboro all the way, but I think now it's a toss-up. I think Victory Christian is a team that's definitely improved. I think Coach Griffin does a good job there.
Matt Griffith's changed some things there.
He's changed some things there.
Brought the Veer to Pell City.
The Veer.
He's changed some things, and I think his style of offense and his style of play gives them an opportunity to win games. And it also, man, when you're a defensive coordinator on the defensive staff and you got to try to stop the Veer, you don't see it a whole lot no more. Don't. And so it's a whole different ball game. Everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's. Everybody's got to do their job. You got to play assignment football. And with high school kids, sometimes assignment football is not easy to do. If one guy don't do their job, it could be a big play. So I'm very intrigued by this matchup.
Look at Winterboro, 42 points, 40 points, 42 points, 27, and a big win against Weaver last week.
Well, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back, and when we come right back, we're going to open up with the Appalachian at Spring Garden, monstrous matchup in that region. We'll be right back.
May not believe it, but it's true. The 2024 Team 1 Chevys are here. All 23-24 Silverado light duties have 2.9% financing for 72 months. The hottest new 24 Team 1 Chevy Blazer, 1.9% financing and no payments till April. And the #1 selling family vehicle, the Equinox, 24 models. You got it. 1.9% financing and no payments till April. Team 1 Chevrolet, home of the best people, the best service, period.
Hey everybody, I'm Larry May. I've been in the entertainment business for over 25 years. I've written for the local paper. I've interviewed a lot of touring artists and local artists here. And what I figured out is how much talent we have here in Alabama. That's why we put a new show together for you called Entertainment Alabama. Come watch us for the hottest new acts and some of your favorites that are national touring artists.
Come out and check out the Alabama Tractor Difference. We can take care of all your needs of parts, sales, and service for RTVs, zero turns, and tractors and construction equipment. See us here in Lincoln at 620 Speedway Industrial Drive. Or come visit us here in Asheville at 275 6th Avenue, or give us a call at 205-594-7000.
At Bentley Prosthetic and Medical Supply, we care about you. We offer custom prosthetics, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and durable medical supplies. We're located here in Alexandria, Alabama, where it's a country feel, but professional care. Come see us today.
And we are back live, and we're going to break down this monstrous matchup right here in 1A, and then we're going to jump up to 5A, and then, guys, we're we're going to hand out some helmet stickers, which is our favorite part of the week, each and every week. All right, Coach Beckett, I need you on your P's and Q's on this one because this is a monstrous game that's going to be hosted at the Garden. This one, in all intents and purposes, is for the region championship here for Spring Garden and Appalachian. Appalachian coming in 5-1 on the season, traveling to the Garden, who's 6-0, and hosting this game. Talk to us about this game.
I didn't know this thing was going to be for the region championship going into the year. We knew Spring Garden would be good. Spring Garden's even better than what we thought. Now we're starting to feel like this might be a team that makes a run. Now we feel like Appalachian might make noise. So where you shake out and who you are, Braden Gilliland for Appalachian, 5 carries, 129 yards, 4 touchdowns, 297 yards as a team rushing, 8.7 yards per carry. Only threw the ball 4 times, didn't have to throw it, played the physical ball game, and now they're going to play, well, that's kind of Spring Garden's kind of game. And and there again, location at the Garden. They do well at home. Connor Bates, man, here's a nominee, and as he is every week. Only had 6 carries and 115 yards. Yards per carry is crazy. John Welch doing what he does. 3 carries and one of them was a 27-yard touchdown. Totally dominated rival Cedar Bluff. I mean, just blew them out. He only threw the ball 4 times. Didn't have to. 92 yards out of that. Just a total whitewashing of Cedar Bluff last week. So this is a biggie.
You're talking about the wrong Welsh kid.
Yeah.
You left out Jacob.
Yeah, you got Jacob, you got John, you got the Welches. They have a lot of Welches, don't you?
They got some Welches, but
they got some
Big Jake did a little something else. He is a nominee this week for a helmet sticker. We don't know if he's going to get it or not. Maybe we do know. Maybe we don't know. But yeah, no, he's talking John Welch over here, his brother.
Yeah.
I know who he's talking about, but hey, we got to give some linemen some love. Linemen and defensive some love. We don't ever give linemen and defense any love.
Well, we got a chance to.
And I agree. And Appalachian they're sitting there with a tackle, a 6'7" tackle that's probably you're going to see him on Saturdays, a really physical, what I call a sniffer H-back that's a blocking back that'll play. He's probably small school guy at college on the next level. So a lot of people don't match Spring Garden's physicality. I thought Valley Head would. They did not, and that doesn't happen much. Maybe it was a bad night. So can Appalachian be physical to point of attack, inside the box, up front, with the bigs? Let's see what happens.
Did you talk about Spring Garden, though? Like I know we say it every week, but Barrett Ragsdale just looks like a completely different person this year.
Comfortable. He's grown into the seat. Yes.
It's his culture now. It's his team.
Well put.
And like you said, like between the Bateman kid and John Welch, they got guys that can make plays. But like I said, like we don't talk about them enough, but they got some dudes up front on both sides of the football that play very physical. And as much as we like talking about all the playmakers, you still win games in the trenches.
Absolutely.
There ain't no doubt. There is no doubt about that. We're going to kick this thing up to 5A now. So this is going to be our last A classification that we're breaking down, and then we're going to go into our helmet stickers. Then we're going to chat a little bit afterwards. Guys, let's dive right in. Boaz at Sardis. Beckett, this is going to be one. This is 2 counties that you break down. This is a rivalry game. Sardis been hit by the injury bug. Boaz and Coach Sullivan coming off of a loss. You know they cannot wait to get back out there to right the wrongs. And like Coach Sullivan said, he's got some coaching moments after last week's game. But talk to us about this game right here. They're traveling over right down the road, 4 miles to Sardis?
Yeah.
So
that was probably an interesting week with Coach Sullivan to see what how they handled that and what you're talking about, because that was just one. Number one, they cannot give up 495 yards rushing. That can't happen. That's got to be corrected and cleaned up. Offensively, they had 15 first downs. They moved the ball 144 yards rushing, but 146 passing. It was not, it was not Tyler Pierce's best game. 14 of 24. He did have 3 touchdowns, but it was not the monster games. Nothing against him. He's just had a monster year, and so they have got to continue to get better because they have playoff hopes. And it was a team I thought Might go some places, and this is now these people all know each other. It's right down the road. I always take that into consideration, and especially when Coach Brooks trying to get.
They go to
better.
church together. Their parents work together.
Absolutely.
Kick this thing over to you. Let's talk about Central Clay County, who's 6-0, coming off a monumental win last week. I mean, they looked every bit the part. Tyler Van said it himself. They're a really, really good football team. Danny Horn now tied as the all-time winningest coach in the state with 351 wins plus his 8 state championships, also tied for the most in state's history. Talk to us about this game.
When you talk about, and I mention it every week, but Danny Horn has to be mentioned up there. And I know the wins show it, but the thing that's different from him is he's done it at 3 different places with 3 different styles of play. And he can still, he's a guy that can.
3 different classifications.
3 different classifications. He's a guy that can line up in the bone. He's a guy that can line up in the spread. I was talking to my dad about it the other day, that's scary to even say. But we were talking about it, and he was saying that. But a lot of people said, when's the game going to pass him by? The game is never going to pass him by. He adapts. It's kind of like Nick Saban. Everybody thought the game was going to pass him by, and he adapted to the new style of football. And he's a master motivator. LaDamian Boyd is a really, really good player.
Yeah,
the Gibbons kid there is a really, really good player. They got players all over the field. I know it's hard to say, but they're kind of flying under the radar right now in Class 5A. A whole lot of people are not talking about it. I don't know if they're just because they're out there by themselves and nobody really talks about them, but that is not a team that anybody wants to run into when it becomes playoff time. Elmore County comes in, though, at 3-1, and Elmore County is vastly improved. It's at Elmore County. One of the craziest games that I've ever been a part of coaching was at Elmore County. We lost to an Elmore County team that we never should have lost to because of just the crazy things that happens in Elmore County. I hate going to Elmore County. I get scared every time I go to Elmore County. But Central Clay County is good, man. They're really good. They finally got tested a little bit last week, and so I'm excited to see them bounce back and continue to get better week in, week out. And when they want to line up in the bone and run it right at you, they can. They're always going to play really good defense. They suffocate you at times over there at Central Clay County.
If it wasn't for Chase Horn, they would probably live in the bone if Danny was calling all the plays. That's his offense. And Chase has this whole big spreadsheet, and then down here at the bottom on one of the pages is a square. It's Coach Horn's wishbone. That's the true thing.
Chase has got the big Waffle House.
Chase has got the flipboard, and then down here in the square you see the wishbone. And that's the true story. Chase showed us at lunch one day when Josh Abercrombie and I went to eat with the coaching staff there a couple of years back. Beckett, Douglas, I sat in with Coach Lyles this week, very optimistic, but he also knows that this is a must-win. That's the positive and a negative, because who he's facing is a different attitude, a different Arab team. They look every bit the part. They went and took on Madison Academy last week, not County, Academy, and shut them out 20-0.
Yeah, and we wondered how would Arab, because that was heartbreaking, and we know how good Gunnersville is.
Yeah, you're talking about
they
Gunnersville.
had that game, and it came down to the last second.
You're right.
And Gunnersville got it done. So we didn't know how they would bounce back. They did, and like a monster. Now people are looking at them.
What about Kyle Roughton, the job he's doing?
Yes, he coming in at the time he came in. Kudos to him. He's definitely got to be a nominee for a Coach of the Year somewhere. Hey, let's look at Douglas. We talk about must win, that they're a local rival as well, and Douglas has played a pretty tough schedule as well. Case and Wells last week, 15-21, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenyon Watkins, 24 carries, 122 yards, 3 touchdowns. Keelan Green, 3 carries, 96 yards, a touchdown. Brody Campbell, 6 catches, 65 yards, and Trey Crenshaw, 2 catches, 98 yards. They're doing some really good things offensively. You got to score, and then you got to stop Arab. And Arab dictates the game. They totally, and there goes back to coaching a little bit. You cannot let Arab come in and dictate this game.
Jacksonville is traveling to Springville. Jacksonville actually an underdog in this one. You got 2-4 Jacksonville traveling to 3-2 Springville. How do you see this one playing out? Because that's an interesting football game.
Jacksonville's look, Springville's 3-2. Jacksonville's 2-4. And those when we're talking about Jacksonville being 2-4, though, Moody, Leeds, Center Point, and then an undefeated corner team who's ranked in Class 5A. That's been their last 4 ball games. Springville is going to be a lot. I don't even know how to say this. Like, you talk about 4 really good football teams that they just played. Springville's 3-2. I'm not trying to take anything away from Springville, but Springville's a team that I think Jacksonville can play with. Jacksonville's got to limit the big plays. It feels like last week that they would get in 3rd and long and then give up a chunk play over the top. They've got to figure out a way to make the other team snap it again. They've got to continue to get their run game. The good thing for Jacksonville is they are starting to get better. They're starting to not be as one-dimensional. They're starting to complete some passes. The Bonner kid's getting better and better as the year goes along. They have two-headed monster led by Zay English in the backfield, but defensively is where they've got to cut out some of. They'll play so good defensively, and then all of a sudden, boom, 70-yard touchdown run, or boom, 70-yard touchdown pass over the top. They've got to cut out some of those big plays, those chunk plays, and give themselves a chance to make the other team have to snap it again and make a mistake.
Beckett, Jake Gaines and company, 3-2. And with their schedule, you'd take 3-2 all day, every day, and twice on Sunday right now with who they've had to face. Traveling to George Baton and a 4-2 Center Point team that's moved down from 6A, who seems to be on a mission themselves. Moody and Jake and company is a 15-point favorite heading over to take on Coach Bates at Center Point. Talk to us about this.
All right, Coach Bates, one of the top coaches in the Birmingham metro area, if not the state altogether.
Best
really
dressed coach.
Yeah, he is definitely. He's going to bring the bow tie, and he's going to bring it. Moody's strength of schedule, #1 in the state. Let's go ahead and there's no debating there. Averaging 26 points per game. Only give up 76 the whole season. The most important thing, all those were exhibition out of region. These are all. They're undefeated in the region. It's a huge game. They've never beat Center Point. 0-7 all time. Wow. Center Point won the last time 40-11 at Moody. So a big hurdle to climb there. A big game. I do think Moody will be battle tested for the game.
Over to you, Chandler. Scottsboro 5-1, going to be traveling to Brewer, who's 1-4 on the season, a 21-point favorite. Coach Van, early Monday morning when I do his show, I sat down with him, and he talked about we got to get. I said, Coach Van, this is interesting. You'll like this. I said, in a less than a calendar year, you have played against 2 coaches that have a combined 700 wins and 15 state championships. That being Paul Benefield, and then he faced Coach Horn last weekend. I said, what are your takeaways from those games? And he said, here's what I take away from those games. Both of those guys violently take control of football games. They impose their will on you, and they make you like it. And he said, that's what we're about to start doing around here, and it starts today at practice. This is going to be a long, dreadful week of practice for us because we're going to get back to the basics. We're going to get physical, and we're going to start trying to impose our will on some of these teams. But
so
when you look
I'm guessing he wasn't happy with the way they played Friday night.
He was happy in some aspects, but in others he wasn't.
They lost 35-21. So that tells me that he believes that they can be one of the best teams in Class 5.
Absolutely.
If he wasn't thrilled and they're about to get back to the basics.
Ain't no doubt.
Like some coaches would just say, hey they were better than us.
We fought them hard.
We played hard.
Yeah.
But that tells me that he thinks they can be a dominant football team. That tells me
this year too, not waiting on next year.
That tells me that they feel like they can go into another really good opponent next week and compete and have a chance to win that ball game. But the biggest thing about that is, and here's the good thing about that, it's hard to overlook an opponent when your coach has his thumb on you all week, when the coach is saying, hey, we got to be more physical, hey, we got to get back to the basics, hey, we got to remember how to tackle, hey, we got to make the blocks that we're supposed to block, we got to impose our will on people. I want people saying about us what they say about Central Clay County, that, hey, Southside can be flashy if they need to, they got offense, they can score points, but they will hit you in the mouth defensively. I said Southside, Scottsboro. Scottsboro will hit you in the mouth defensively. They will block, they will stay on a block, they will pancake you. They will do the things necessary to win football games. They will make you not want to play them. Coach Van has that. He seems like that type of guy. Like he's very straight to the point, and he does bring a lot of exposure, and the brands everywhere he goes skyrockets. Yep. But I think he likes that brand of football. He wants to be physical. He wants to be known for his physicality. And it's like I said earlier. There's some games where you're not going to have the offense that you're used to. But here's the thing, run game, defense. Being able to run, block, and tackle will travel anywhere, and if you're more physical than the other team, a lot of the times you're going to win the football game. And so and I was intrigued by what I hadn't really got to sit down and listen to it yet. I got to go home tonight and get that video put together. But so I'm intrigued to sit down and see what he actually had to say, because it sounds like he thinks they can be a very good football team,
right.
not in the future, right now, and he don't want to waste this opportunity. So I'm excited about that. Obviously, we talk about Jake Jones all the time. I think they're better than Brewer, but you got to show up and play the game. It's at Brewer. They can't look ahead to a matchup with the number 1 team in Class 5A next week. They're going to be hungry. They proved to themselves this last week. If we can fix some things, we can play with anybody. So I'm intrigued by that.
100%. It's that time, folks. It is helmet sticker time. Our favorite time of the week, because we love featuring these student athletes, has really laid it on the line this week, and we got some special ones this week coming up. And we're going to let Mr. Alan Beckett kick this thing off.
You got to go twice in a row.
Yeah, Beckett.
Yeah, I like that. I'm usually at the dog on the end. All right, let's start with. I think we are at. Let's start with Geraldine's Jordan Langford with a 49-20 upset. Had 21 carries, 259 yards, and 2 touchdowns in a big.
The young man was a freshman. Am I mistaken?
He's a youngster.
I do believe he's a freshman, and he is put together, because I've seen him play live versus Sardis, and he don't look like a freshman. He looks like a grown man.
Which goes into the workout programs of people like you, Coach. Through the years, these guys can now they can take real poundings. All right, let's move on to Quintavious.
Hey, before you do that, I think Jordan Langford is a really, really good baseball player as well. So that's going to be a 2-sport guy that we're going to be seeing big things out of in 2 sports.
This guy keeps doing it just week after week, and just finally had to break down and give it to him. And he's only in. Cosmo's had so many blowouts that he's been out of the game so often. But Quintavious Milt Rogers, you got to love the nickname. 10 carries, 179 yards, finding the end zone constantly, and can catch the ball out of the. Had 4 touchdowns, 3 rushing and 1 receiving. My man Milt, he's been asking for it, and he deservedly so. And he's got a big challenge this week. Let's see if he performs.
They're going to lean on him this week. They're going to need him big time.
I'm feeding number 5.
Yeah, I'm going next, and I told y'all earlier that I'm sick and tired of defense not getting any love. And being a defensive guy, I never took an offensive snap in high school a day in my life, other than when I played at 3A Lincoln, where we had to go both ways. But at Oxford, strictly a linebacker, I'm going to go with the Coosa Christian defense. And I told you some of the reasons earlier. 6 first downs allowed the entire ball game. 38 total yards rushing on 36 carries. I'm not great at math, but that's barely over a yard a rush for a team that's used to running for over 400 yards a game. Did not give up a completion in the passing game. Held 5 to 2 for 11 on 3rd down conversions. 5 was 0 for 2 on 4th down conversion. Caused 8 turnovers. Listen to this: 2 turnovers on down, 3 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 safety, 2 sacks. So when you look at that, 2 turnovers on downs, 3 interceptions, that's 5, 2 fumbles recovered, and then a safety, 8 total turnovers for that Coosa defense. Listen, defense wins football games. It'll never change. Offense is great. It's fun to watch. Those guys are geniuses, but defense can still win football games if you know how to play it well.
My first helmet sticker is going to be a guy. He's 6'7", 255 is what they have him listed as. We're talking about Big Jacob Welch. I call him Big Jake Welch. We do have a video clip of Jake Welch, if we can pull that up right fast. Let's see here.
May not believe it, but it's true.
No, we're going. He's working on it. All right, here we go. See him at right tackle right there? Did y'all see that block? If you didn't see that block, we can see it again. Watch right tackle number 72 right here. Big Jake Wilson. This is against Valley Head. That's what you call pad level, driving somebody.
That's violence.
That right there alone will earn you a helmet sticker. That was 2 weeks ago against Valley Head, but we wanted to show y'all that. But this week, He had 9 tackles on defense, 2 sacks. He also had 3 pancakes, and guess what else he did? He sat out the second half because the game was never in doubt. But on the season, he is blocking at a 90% clip. He's graded out 90% on the offensive line with 25 pancake blocks on the season. He also is on the Mount Rushmore for hair throughout the state. He's got the 70s curly fro. It's phenomenal. We're talking about Big Jake Welch, and that is my first helmet sticker right there. Now, my second one is from Hoax Bluff, Alabama. Bryce Sugarfoot Whitaker. Yes, that is correct. That is Bryce Sugarfoot Whitaker. This guy led his team to a 35-0 victory over Glencoe last week in a rivalry game. He had 231 yards rushing and had 3 touchdowns, and also had 46 yards passing to add to his 231 on the ground. Bryce Sugarfoot Whitaker has his team undefeated, and they are rolling. Took on rival Glencoe last week, come out with a 35-0 victory, and he dominated right throughout.
I got a question. Where did he get the name Sugar?
His dad, Murphy Whitaker, come up with that, and I absolutely love it because I've never heard it before for somebody.
Yeah, it's a cool
That's
nickname.
all named him.
Yes, I like it. I like it.
No doubt about it. All right, I'm last, and call me a homer. I don't care. My guy, my second helmet sticker for this week is Rodney Perry for the White Plains Wildcats. I said it last week that he had to put the team on his back. He rushed for 170 yards, had 4 touchdowns on 30 carries. He was a bell cow. Also caught 3 passes for 20 yards. With P.J. Holloway being out, that two-headed monster was down to 1. They desperately needed to win on the Plains, and they let their guy carry it. And so, listen, the number for other guys around the area may be better, but other guys didn't have as much pressure to put a team on their back and have to win a game on homecoming. That was a must-win game for them to continue to move in the right direction in their program. You got to win those type ball games. He found a way to win it, scored all the touchdowns for the White Plains Wildcats. That's why he's my helmet sticker. Also, I've known this kid. I've seen him mature and grow up. I'm proud of the kid he is now. He better stay that way, and just big things ahead for him.
Guys, we got 5 minutes here. We're at the little over the halfway point. We're in the back stretch of region play, about to define who's going to playoffs, who's not. Beckett, takeaways from the season so far.
Yeah, it has, you know, some of the dominant teams have remained dominant and done what they do. We've had some really interesting, you know, elite boy dog players step up. Been great to see Guntersville be who they are. Oxford has, you know, those are 2 elite teams. Clay Central just takes care of business, you know, and you know, the Locust Fork game though was the game that man, I just can't wait to come out and find out that score against Piedmont. Interesting game to see how Fife bounces back against Sylvania. So another great week. Some of the teams are starting to be eliminated, and then we're starting to jockey for spots. And in some of these regions, it's tough to come up with those spots.
Yeah, everybody and their moms peeking ahead to next week for the Scottsboro Guntersville game. But we got some meat on the bone this week. I think Spring Garden and App is a really, really good game. And hey, this far this season, Coach Ragsdale, I mean, that guy right there he looks like another human. I mean, like, you're talking to him, his confidence, the way his team, you see it on the field. He's got the ultimate team thing going on. Nobody's above the other. He talks about that on his show. You get a chance, I want you to watch and listen to that. Collinsville, Geraldine, another statement game. Sylvania, Fife, another statement game. It seems like every week now Fife is in a big game every week. They get everybody's best shot.
You don't know that.
It's every week, and then Sylvania, and you know, I mean, like, Sylvania is going to be looking to give them everything they got this week. So
that's why it's so impressive by what they've done, because the work to stay on top of the mountain is just as difficult or more difficult than the work it was to get to the top of the mountain. Some storylines that I'm intrigued with so far in the season. Hoax Bluff has been really good. They're my surprise team of the year. Piedmont is back. Piedmont is back where they're supposed to be at. They're undefeated halfway through the year. They look dominant. They got some really good players. Happy for Coach Miller. Last year, people were like asking questions. Coach Miller can coach. Don't ever doubt that. Dino Embry, hats off to you, young man. Like I said earlier, the only thing that's been able to stop you this year has been bye week. I'm intrigued by that matchup coming up. He's a great player. He's an Iron Man. He plays both sides of the ball. I'm ready to see what Coach Glover and what Coach Miller and that defensive staff can come up with to try to stop him. Oxford's been dominant. I'd like for Oxford to play a little bit more consistent. Coach Adams, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I'm a fan too, Oxford guy. I'd like for them to be more consistent, but defensively, they're getting better and better each week. They got the best player in our area, Mason Mims. Coosa has been as billed. They beat 6A Pell City earlier in the year. Welborn is undefeated right now. A lot of people hadn't talked about that. Welborn's undefeated. Jackson Newton has been that guy for them. They got other dudes too. And then we've all been talking about it. Spring Garden, love the brand of football they play. And I'm a big Barrett Ragsdale fan. I like him. He's a good dude, very laid back, very good football coach, and happy to see him have the success that he's having in year number 2 at Spring Garden.
Yeah, this is an interesting week. There's a lot of big games. You know, good to see Gadsden City back. Shout out to them for doing Reggie Davis Day last Friday night. We had a lot of Average Joe's people that were free and were able to go by there. Some of us had other obligations we had to be at that night. Also, man, we just want to shout out to all the coaches, parents, and kids that's made this special all so far. This has been a fantastic football season. And our sponsors, Watkins Heating and Cooling, we want to give them a shout out. Any of your heating and cooling needs, you want to reach out to Watkins Heating and Cooling, as well as Countertop Creations, and they have done a phenomenal job helping us out as well. Both of those guys are stepped up to the plate big time to make this show and many other things we do possible.
You hit the nail on the head, though, when you talk about our sponsors, the kids, the coaches, and the parents. We don't have anything to talk about if they're not playing, if the coaches aren't coaching, if the parents aren't being parents and making sure their kids get to where they're supposed to go. And then our sponsors. Can't do this without our sponsors. Our sponsors are great, unbelievable, and it's been fun, man. I've enjoyed hanging out with y'all and talking football.
Across the board. How much longer do we got? Do we know?
I think we got about 40 seconds.
40 seconds. Beckett, quick takeaway from you.
You know, and I was sitting here thinking as you were talking, man, who's the halfway point player of the year? Well, there's some good ones.
I'd have to go Dino at this point.
You got Dino, you got Mason. I mean, he's really good. Boy.
I'd have to say Dino at this point, but there's more games to be played. Raleigh Pinto could have something to say about that.
Dino's the number one rushing player, the number one guy in stats rushing in the nation.
He was. I think they got
10
over
seconds.
10 seconds. Guys, thank you for tuning in so much. Please share. If you haven't already, please like the page. And that's going to about wrap us up for Road to the...
You need strength, resilience, and hope to face life challenges. And I found all 3 at Gadsden State Community College. I'm Jada Pickens, an office administration student